Hi, my name is John. I'm representing Villarreal Acquisitions. This video is going to be the first in the series of how to run Facebook ads as a chiropractor. This will give you the general basis of information that you'll need to begin running ads, some best practices and things that you'd want to note, and some things to avoid. So, if you've never run ads before, we'll take a look here at the meta business environment. Under everything is your business manager, and then ads manager, campaign, ad sets, and your ads. It's similar to the crust of the earth. And yes, I did draw this myself, but we'll go into what each of those means now. So the business manager is, a tool that helps businesses and agencies manage their Facebook presence and advertising campaign. This would be where you can allow different permissions and accesses to different accounts you might have. Under that, you have the Ads Manager, which is a tool that allows users to create, manage, and analyze paid ad campaigns for the different meta platforms. This is where your different ad campaigns are stored and viewed. Then you have your campaign, which is just the combination of your ad sets and your ads that you've built to achieve your specific goal. It's also where you define your objective of your whole ad campaign. And then you have ad sets, which is the group of ads that share the same budget, schedule, and targeting options, and you choose your placements in that step, which I'll show you how to do that when we get there. And then you have your ad, when that's just simply what the users see on the front end, whether you're using pictures or videos, and the text you choose or copy, if you're familiar with the terminology. Some things to note before you begin running ads is that you'll want to use a warmed up account. If this is your practice, your clinic or your practice page, you'll want to make sure it's at least a month old. You have some posts and interactions, and you enable two-factor authentication. Why is that important? Because if not, and if you don't have those things and you begin running ads, Facebook can view it as fraudulent, and you won't be able to run ads for very long because you'll get flagged and you'll need to complete some sort of steps that they'll tell you, and it can be kind of a pain to do that. So I'd say use a warmed up account to begin with, and you should save yourself some time. So initially, you'll want to spend at least $150 to get a solid basis of data before you make any assessment on what's working and what is not. If you don't have the money to spend at least 150, I mean, you might burn through it, but it's important to do that at least so that you can get some data. The quicker you can do it, if you can spend $50 for the first 3 days and get that data really fast, that's ideal. And then you can drop your budget back down to the minimum, which I recommend is 20, but we'll get into that in a second. It's also important, if you can, to use a credit card over a debit card, just in case, your payment gets stopped for whatever reason. It can reset your learning. And if that happens, then you have to go through the whole process of spending an additional 150 at least to get that data back. So if you have the ability to use a credit card, do so, or if you keep a lot of money in your account, that works too. But the other thing is, be prepared to spend a minimum of $600 per month for your first month at least. That comes out to about $20 per day. And if not, I just don't recommend running ads, because the results you'll get, you'll get new patients for sure, but I don't think it'll be worth it to run anything less than that. So I'd say start at a minimum $600. If you're not in a financial position to do so at this time, come back to this video when you're able to do so. It won't really matter though once you are, because we should be able to recoup that money and you'll be able to pull it back out. I'll show you how to do that now. So our ideal situation is called client financed acquisition. What does that mean? Before you ask what that means and I tell you what that means, it's important for you to know your patient LTV, the lifetime value, how much your patients are worth to you in your clinic. Okay. Client financed acquisition is when you use the revenue generated from new patients that come in as a result of the ads to continue paying for the ads. You should be able to recoup your initial 600 plus from the patients that you got as a result. Then you devote the additional earnings toward your ad spend each month. So with the nature of chiropractics, you're not getting all the money up front typically, unless you're selling care plans, which this works for. And even if you're not selling care plans, it also works. But you'll get this is why it's important to know your LTV, because if you know for each person that comes in, you make $500. If you get 5 people within the first month, you should get somewhere around $2,500 if they're worth 500, and you know how many appointments it takes to get there. So once you get them coming in and you have people coming in enough times to where you can, get that $600 in revenue back, you can just reinvest that back in to the next month's ad spend, and then anything you make after that, you can pull it back out, and then you can pull your $600 out and continually roll over the revenue generated from the new patients that come in from the ads, and essentially eliminate your marketing budget realistically. As I said, this works for selling care plans or pay-as-you-go care. I've listed some pros and cons of both, and I'll get into those in a second. This isn't everything, but these are some important things to note based on how your practice operates. So if you're doing care plans, you can pay more for leads because typically, you're getting 1,000, 2,000, or whatever you're charging for your care plans. And so it's if you're getting that amount up front, you can pay a little bit more for those leads because you're making more per lead typically. It is more consistent. You don't have to deal with no-shows as much just because people are prepaying for a set amount of appointments usually, and the income is more predictable because they're paying up front. Some cons is that it does require more sales skill. I think it's less ethical in the way of, if you're charging people for 20 appointments up front, not everybody's going to need 20 appointments. So I'm not a huge fan of it for that reason. I prefer something in between these two, the pay-as-you-go and care plans. But it also can deter patients that like to come in as needed. If you're kind of pushy and trying to sell them on the care plans. If you're doing pay-as-you-go, some pros of that are it's less salesy. Some people have an issue feeling like a used car salesman or feeling sleazy for trying to sell care in the way that you'd be selling a care plan. I think it's more ethical. I think the best thing in my opinion is kind of using both. Getting a person to commit to 3 appointments. And then after that, if they need more, assessing it after they've done their first 3 or something of that along those lines. It requires less sales skill, so you don't have to be a master in the sales department to do this because they're coming in as they need. Some cons, though, it is less consistent because you'll have people come in for 1 or 2 appointments and then maybe not see them again or not see them for a long time. And also, you'll need a lower CPL, cost per lead, which is essentially you have to pay less for your leads because typically they're worth less. So that is all for this first module. Next, I'm going to be showing you how to actually, set up the whole thing on Facebook, and we'll go over that. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment, or I believe my email address is in the description of the video. You can shoot me an email. If this is interesting, set up a 15-minute call, and we can see if maybe our company can help you out. Other than that, thanks for watching, and take care.